What is going on, y'all? This is Pay Me in Dividends, and today is June 23rd. I am a bit ahead of time, so it may be the 22nd for you, Eastern time. But nonetheless, I want to talk about Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, and just a few different ways you can capitalize off of this as income investors. If you're new to this channel, hence the channel name, Pay Me in Dividends. I talk about dividends. I'm all about passive income, all right, income generating investments through the stock market. And today I want to talk about Bitcoin related ETFs that can allow you to generate income through the stock market. All right. Now, Bitcoin is down. Bitcoin is now under $100,000. We can see just today alone is down about 2.5%. Over the past 5 days, it is down 5%. Over the past month, it is down 11%. But if we zoom out, we can see year to date, it is still up. It is still outperforming the major indexes like the S&P 500, like the NASDAQ 100. Over the past year, it's up 54%, 5 years, 1,000%, so on and so forth, right? So you always got to zoom out when you're looking at these assets and understand that over time, they will continue to go up. So what do I think about the current state of the market right now with Bitcoin? Well, I think there's an opportunity. We're all well aware of what's going on in the world right now, right? We have the tension between Iran, Israel. This is not a political channel. I'm not going to get into that, but we're all well aware of what's going on. And what tends to happen is when there are major events going on in the world, the market typically reacts. Now, my thoughts on this is Bitcoin is actually holding up quite good during these times, in my opinion. You know, the market could really tank a lot heavier. If you guys remember a couple months ago on Liberation Day, during the whole Trump tariff situation, the market, Bitcoin had dropped pretty big. You know, if we go back here, we can see Bitcoin had dropped all the way down to about 75,000. And then shortly after, it went back up and it crossed that 100,000 mark again and hit all new time highs. And so this is nothing new for the market. The market goes through ebbs and flows. And I think the key takeaway here is finding opportunities when those opportunities present themselves. And so I think Bitcoin dropping under 100,000 presents an opportunity, and who knows, it could drop lower, right? I mean, it could drop under 90, under 80. Who really knows what it's going to do in the short term? But what we do know is that in the long term, Bitcoin will continue to go up, all right? So that is my rant on Bitcoin. The whole point of that is to say that there's opportunity in the market at all times. Now, with that said, I want to show you guys a few opportunities from an income investor's perspective, right? If this is what you're into. And the first one we're going to talk about is MSTY from YieldMax. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this. This is one of my favorite ETFs, and I do have it is a large position in my overall portfolio. And this is the reason why. If we max out the chart, you can see that the price has remained stable since inception. When this ETF first came out in February of 2024, which is over a year ago now, it came out at $20 a share. And today it remains at $20 a share, all right? So it has remained stable, and obviously it's had its ebbs and flows like the overall market, but it has remained stable. And if we go to the YieldMax website, we can see the crazy dividend yield that it pays, right? 92%. This thing has been as high as like 150% or more. And they pay consistently, all right? They pay on a monthly basis. This is why I like this fund so much. There's so much volatility in Bitcoin that YieldMax is able to leverage that volatility and take advantage of that volatility through the options market. And they've received that premium, and then that premium is paid to the shareholders in the form of a dividend. This is how they're able to extract so much yield from the market. All right, so MSTY is my favorite when it comes to these Bitcoin derivatives, although it's not directly tied to Bitcoin, but there is a heavy correlation. What they do is they perform synthetic options on MicroStrategy or strategy. Now, they do not invest directly into strategy, as it says here on their website, but they do perform synthetic options on MicroStrategy, and then they're able to extract that, that option premium from the market and pay you out that hefty dividend. So MSTY is one of my favorite ways to take advantage of Bitcoin and the volatility that Bitcoin provides. All right. Now, the next one we're going to look at is IMST, which is from Bitwise. Now, this one is a bit newer. We can see this one came out back in April. So it's been out for about 2 months now. And if we go to the page, this one is very similar to MSTY. Now, you'll notice the yield is much higher, 167% yield. And this one is also paid out on a monthly basis. All right, this one is also paid out on a monthly basis. And again, they take advantage of the underlying, which is MicroStrategy, ticker symbol MSTR, which is highly volatile, because MSTR, if you're not familiar, strategy, they are the largest corporate holder of Bitcoin in the world. Not the largest holder of Bitcoin in the world, but the largest corporate holder, meaning their company is the biggest company holder of Bitcoin in the world. And they pride themselves on that. They've even changed their name. Michael Saylor changed the name from MicroStrategy to Strategy. And so, they provide a lot of volatility because of their aggressive acquisition of Bitcoin, thus being able to generate this crazy dividend yield. All right. I am not invested into IMST, but it is an option. All right. So you have MSTY, MSTY, you have IMST. Here we'll take a look at MST. This is from Defiance. Now, this one is a bit different, and you'll notice that the chart has gone down since inception. Defiance, I don't own any Defiance ETFs, but this one is actually leveraged. All right. So if we go to the website, we can see they aim to deliver about 150 to 200% of Strategy's daily price performance. Now, this is awesome if MicroStrategy is going up, right? They're able to capitalize and get that exponential gain. But if it's going down, you're also going to double down on those decreases. All right. So that's just something to keep in mind when it comes to leveraged ETFs. They also pay on a weekly basis. All right. They pay on a weekly basis, which means that it doesn't give them much time to really exercise their options and let the underlying do what it's going to do. All right. That's a very simplistic way to explain it. I'm sure somebody more technical can give a better, explanation of that. But in my opinion, I feel like they kind of overextend themselves with the weekly payments plus the leverage on top of it when they're already, doing options on a highly volatile stock. So I personally do not invest into MST. However, right now may be a good time to, keep an eye on it while the market is down, and then you're able to capitalize once the Bitcoin market goes back up. So again, these are just options. I'm not telling you what to invest in. Again, I'm not invested into MST, but it is worth a look. Obviously, people put money into it, so it's worth a look. So again, we have MSTY, IMST, MST, And then we have BTCI. Now, BTCI is interesting because it comes from NEOS. Now, NEOS has SPY-I, QQQI. QQQI is an ETF that I'm heavily invested in as well. I really like the consistency of their payouts and the stability of their share price. And so BTCI has actually gone up since inception. All right, it's been out since about October of 2024, and it is up 16% since inception. And if we go over to their page, I want to show you guys something. Now, this one operates a bit differently, all right? You'll notice the yield is lower than the other ones I've showed you. It's at 30%. They pay on a monthly basis. But check this out, all right? This is not synthetic options. This one, they actually hold the underlying, which is HODL. HODL is an ETF from Van Eck, where they hold Bitcoin, all right? It's a spot ETF, meaning that it tracks the exact price movement of Bitcoin. And so they hold that ETF, and then they perform options on that ETF. Now, you'll notice the weight is only around 24%, and that is because that is a sort of a regulatory policy where I don't want to get too deep in that because I'm not too knowledgeable on that, but the NEOS, I guess CEO or whoever was actually interviewed by another YouTuber, and he explained how they can only hold up to a certain percentage of the underlying ETF when they're writing options on it. I believe only in the Bitcoin space. Don't quote me on that, but there is some sort of regulation there which caps them out on how heavily weighted it can be in their portfolio. But nonetheless, this is the main underlying asset, is the HODL ETF, and then they perform options on it. And you can see here, just like their other funds, SPY-I, which is based off the S&P 500, QQQI, which is based off the NASDAQ 100, the payments are always very, very consistent. This is what I really like about these guys over here at NEOS, is that the payments are always extremely consistent, even with a Bitcoin income ETF. You see there's not much of a variance, right? I mean, they went from $1.57 one month to $1.43, $1.33, $1.25, $1.51. So there is a variance, but it's not far off, right? It's not that you don't see huge, wild swings that you would expect with a Bitcoin derivative, right? So I think NEOS is definitely worth a look. And although I have a lot of MSTY in my portfolio, I've thought about adding some BTCI just to have a bit more predictability when it comes to monthly income, all right? Now, the next one I want to look at is BITO from ProShares, all right? Now, BITO is another income ETF, and this one pays on a monthly basis as well. And this one has been out for a while. I believe it's the first U.S. Bitcoin linked ETF. So this one has a bit more history behind it. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but basically it pays on a monthly basis, and you can see the distributions here, right? And they have the calendar here. You can change to 2024, all the way back to 2023. When it first came out, early 2023. And so this is another one that you can consider. Now, this one is also synthetic from the looks of it. Now, it says digital assets. This looks like an open contract here. So, yeah, it looks like this is mostly Bitcoin futures along with options. So they're not holding like a HODL ETF or IBIT ETF or FBTC from Fidelity. Looks like they're just kind of trading futures, Bitcoin futures. and doing some options on it, and they're able to generate that income. So this one is good if you're looking for something that has a bit more of a history to it, a little more trust behind it. So again, you guys have options. This is not financial advice. I'm not telling you what to invest in, but I'm just giving you guys some options. Maybe you've heard of these, maybe you haven't, just to get the wheels turning, right? Because again, it's all about opportunity. Bitcoin is down right now. It is under $100,000. And these are the times where you need to really, acquire assets, because when Bitcoin goes back up to 110 and then eventually hits 120, 150, 200, which I believe it eventually will, at what point in time, who knows? Nobody knows, but at some point it will, right? So you want to catch it while it is beaten up a bit, all right? So we have MSTY, IMST, MST, BTCI, BITO, and then this last one I want to show you guys is a spot ETF, all right? We have IBIT, which is a spot ETF, and this one tracks Bitcoin. Now, this is not a dividend ETF, all right? And I want to show you guys this. So if you look at the year-to-date performance, it's around 6%, right? If you look at year-to-date for Bitcoin, 6%. If we zoom out 1 year, 54%. If we zoom out 1 year on IBIT, 73%. Look at that. So it's actually outperforming it right now. But the market is closed, so you'll see that drop tomorrow. But basically what a spot ETF is that they mirror Bitcoin, and you're able to buy it in an ETF form through your brokerage account. So some people aren't too savvy with, self-custody of their Bitcoin, or maybe they're not interested in using a Coinbase account or something like that, and they want to keep things concise. They want to condense their portfolio and kind of tighten things up and keep it in one brokerage account. And so this is a great way to still have exposure to Bitcoin without having to fumble too many crypto wallets and things like that. So IBIT is a good choice. It's actually the first Bitcoin ETF to be approved back in 2023, I believe. Let's see. I think it was approved like in June 2023, and then finally, debuted in January 2024. And you also have the Fidelity Spot BTF as well, which again just mirrors the price performance of Bitcoin. So you have Fidelity, you have IBIT, you have the HODL from Van Eck. And so again, these are just some options that you have. Again, this is not a dividend ETF over here, but the first 5 that we went over are dividend ETFs. So again, if you're an income investor trying to capitalize and take advantage off of the volatility of Bitcoin, these are some ETFs you want to look at and possibly add to your portfolio, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. I hope you guys got some value out of this. You guys let me know in the comments, which is your favorite option income ETF when it comes to Bitcoin derivatives, MicroStrategy derivatives. You guys let me know in the comments. As always, I appreciate you stopping by the channel, and I will catch you in the next video.